Bonjour mon ami. Hello my friends, welcome to another Mahalo Monthly. The first of this year. How have we got to the end of the month? I really don't know. So January is an odd month for me. There's a lot going on, which I'll talk to you about. So today I've kind of put together a plan as to what I want to talk about, as I always do. But I have to preface this with it's going to be a lot of waffle today. So really it's just a chance for us to have almost like a happy hour session where, we can just have a frank chat. And I'm just going to get a whole load of stuff off my chest, things I've been wanting to say. And, for me, the people who watch these videos, I consider you to be, friends more than anything. You're not just subscribers, you are, friends, you're there for me, you like these updates. And so, yeah, I just feel like I can be myself and I can be just really frank and honest about just everything. So, whilst being positive, that's something that I do want to say is, even though I want to be frank and honest with you, I also want to take a breather to make sure that I remain optimistic and positive through it all. And the biggest reason for that is that we can get so stuck in negativity, the news, and just everything bad that we just overlook the good. And that's not what I'm about. I am about overlooking the bad, or at least trying to, and focusing on the good where possible. It's not always doable, it's not always easy, but that's what I'm about. So yeah, just wanted to get that out there. So please don't think this is going to be a whole negative waffle about me ranting and raving about things. It's not. But I do want to be honest about some things that I've been thinking about, because they've been playing on my mind. A lot of things have been playing on my mind, and I feel like it's just been a blocker. It really has. So I just want to get a whole lot of things off my chest, and hopefully you won't mind, and hopefully from some of this you'll feel inspired and just closer with me and everything anyway. So we'll do our usual. So I want to look back on January in terms of what I've achieved and what we've done together, and everything that's been going on. So I think the biggest thing for me was this was a chance for me to do the Finish It in 4 challenge with our Facebook group. And it was a chance for me to finish my Lilacs and Lavender Fairy Journal, which you would have seen the flip through go up for that just yesterday. So that journal was one I started last spring. It's a funny story, actually. I'll tell you something, because this has been playing on my mind. A lot of people who watch my channel associate me with fairies and fairy junk journals, amongst other things. And the funny thing is, do you know I never set out to make a fairy journal? Never. It is such a funny story, really. I mean, it's not that funny. It's not a funny ha-ha, it's like a funny just how life happens, and sometimes just things happen to you by accident, and you just progress from there. So let me tell you a story. I think when I very first discovered junk journals, so we're going back now to 2021, I had joined a lot of Facebook groups, and I had taken part in, swaps, and various things were going on. And I'd also received some happy mails from complete strangers, just people who were in these Facebook groups with me. Maybe they'd seen I was active and chatting to people and encouraging people and stuff and sharing my work. And so some people sent me happy mails. And one of those was from a lovely lady who was in one of the UK groups I was in. And she sent me a whole bunch of just stash items. And this was when I was very new to junk journals. I'm talking like, I hadn't even made one yet. And it was a variety of different things from her stash. Random things, really. Some wonderful things in there, though. And it was great for me because I was starting up my stash, and I didn't really know what I was about yet. And one of the things in there was an image from the Flower Fairies book. And there were also a couple of other things in there, such as there was a napkin with a sparkly background on it, almost like an enchanted kind of thing. And there were a few other things in that sort of vein, like magical, enchanted. Clearly she'd been working on a fairy journal, right? And this was at a time when I didn't want to get rid of anything from Stash. If somebody was giving this to me, I was going to use it. So I set about making a fairy journal. So I realised that I needed probably more than just one image to make this journal. So I bought one of the Flower Fairies books. And it kind of snowballed from there, and that's where my pink fairy journal came from that you saw me working on last year. But whilst I was working on that, I fell in love with the fairy images, and they were completely new to me. I hadn't grown up with them. They weren't a thing in the 90s in terms of like my friends don't know about them. I don't know about them, you know, until discovering junk journals. And I fell in love with the images. And so I was like, well, I don't just want to do one journal now, I want to do a whole bunch. So last spring, I finally knuckled down to work on this fairy journal that I'd started the year before. And then it became a purple fairy journal, and then it became the Enchanted Woodland journal, and it just snowballed from there. And I think it's funny that people associate me with the fairy journals because I never set out to make one. It wasn't on my list. It was just this random happy mail from someone that snowballed into something. And of course now I love working with the fairies, but I don't want every journal to be a fairy journal, of course, but I certainly do see myself making one or two per year now. So isn't that funny? I thought you would want to hear about that because sometimes we don't talk enough about where these ideas come from and how things actually come to be. And, you know, sometimes you might actually be surprised by the answer when people do actually sit down and say, well, this is this is where it came from. So anyway, long story short, I had started that purple fairy journal last spring, but I'm not going to say burned out myself, like burned out. I knew that I had done fairies too much. It was too much for me in one go. And I'm learning that about myself, that I like to do a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this, a bit of that. I don't like too much of it, too much of a good thing. So I put the purple journal to one side and thought I'll come back to that another time. And that time just happened to be this year. I was like, I'm determined, I'm going to finish this thing. So I thought, you know, let's just get it done in January so I can move forward with my other projects. And I'm so pleased. I got it done and I'm really, really happy with it. Nothing like what I had in mind a year ago, not at all. But for the better, for the good. You know, it was an amazing journal, and I think, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I am really happy with it. So, and I was happy to have it finished. You know, it's a tick in the column of done. You know, a project off my list, my ever-growing project list, which I'm sure we're all the same. So that was a big focus for me in January, and on top of that, now I started January, I was behind. I got very ill over Christmas and through the New Year period, and I had so many, and I'm upset that I got ill because I had so many things that I wanted to do over that Christmas New Year period where I was off work, so I wanted to do, you know, crafting and videos and all these things to get myself ahead, and I got ill. I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? So I came into January feeling very behind on things. I had a whole bunch of like partnership videos I hadn't filmed, so I needed to get those done. And I had a whole bunch of things that I'd been planning to show you that I hadn't done, so I wanted to do those. So like the, you know, when we upcycled the passport holder into a little notebook set, those were things I wanted to film over the Christmas break. So yeah, I came into the year feeling behind, and I want to draw attention to it because a lot of us can have these big goals and ambitions about what we want to achieve, and sometimes life happens. And, you know, at the end of the day, all you can do is take a step back and say, all right, well, how do I get myself back on track? So for me, the first couple of weeks of January was that, me just getting back on track with what I wanted to show you. It did mean that I had to push the cozy winter stuff back a little bit by about 2 weeks. I was also apprehensive about starting the cozy winter project. Like, I'd made all the ephemera and I was happy with all that, But I was apprehensive about the actual making of the file folder because it is still a very new process. So I was putting it off a bit. I was also apprehensive because I had set out to make 2 file folders and 2 journals using these leg warmers. And I realised again, Justine, why are you trying to do just too much for yourself? Like, why? So in the end, I was making the pink and grey file folder on video. I've got to a point now where I need to sit down and embellish it. That's where I'm at. It's finished. I just need to add some embellishments to, some of the bits and bobs in there, fill the pockets, and I'm done. So brilliant. I'm at that very nearly finished stage. But it has also reminded me that actually I don't want to work on the other ones. So I'm going to get that one finished and do a flip through, which I'm hoping will be sometime this week. Fingers crossed. But for the other leg warmer projects, I'm actually going to put them on hold until next winter because I think I've just taken on too much. January it's an odd month for me. I'm sure it's an odd month for a lot of people, but it's a very odd month for me. First off, and yeah, I know, a lot of waffle. I have a lot to say. So January is a tax return month for me. I'm self-employed, so I have to file my taxes once a year. And then obviously I pay my tax all in one lump sum, or 2 lump sums, January and July, and that's me. That's my tax. That's what I do. So January is the tax return deadline. I tell myself every year not to leave it to the last minute. What do? I always leave it until January. I put off things I don't like. I do. Don't we all? I don't want to sit down and pile through accounting reports, and I just don't. So I always put it off. So I've been doing my tax return this month. Thankfully, I got it in the deadline, and I had it all ready to pay. Oh my gosh, I had to do a frantic panic this morning talking to them because the deadline is midnight tonight, the day that I'm filming, so you'll see this tomorrow. The deadline is the end of January, midnight, and I'm sitting there going, but I've paid it and it's not showing as paid and it's a lot of money, and yeah, I had a bit of a panic. Oh goodness me. And thankfully, they were able to confirm, no, we've got it, it's paid. It's just, it hasn't shown up on your side yet. Wait a few more days. So that was a bit of a panic. As you can imagine, that's been on my mind. January is also a month where I think about where I want to go this year. For, personal travel and also travel for work. Obviously, I've got my travel blog. So I think about, where am I going to write about this year? Where am I going to go? And so I like to get things booked, not well in advance, but I like to at least have an idea of where I'm going so I can make a plan. So January is that for me. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. And it's also just a chance for me to think about what goals I want for the year. So what do I want? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to work on this year? So yeah, January is a big month. It takes up a lot of headspace, and that's okay. I'm learning a lot about myself through crafting. Can you believe it? I don't know what it is, but it's something about the crafting that teaches me a lot about myself, more than any of the other work that I do. So I've never really thought about what January looks like for me until it came to sitting down to be creative with these projects, and then thinking, well, I can't concentrate on this. I've got so many things I need to do, and I've got this and this and this. And yeah, I'm just learning so much about myself. It's, yeah, good and bad. Good and bad, I suppose. But anyway, so all that to say, I have taken advice from many, much wiser people than me, who say, think about what it is that you want. And so for me, I don't like leaving projects unfinished, I really don't, and I don't like not ticking things off my to-do list. But when I took all of this like in my head, working on this cozy winter project, I was like, I don't want to do all 4 things in this theme right now, I just can't. So I've sort of not been selfish, but it's like that feeling of like, just put yourself first for once. And so in the end I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get this file folder finished because you've seen me making it. And then the rest can just be put on hold. And you know what? I'm feeling so good about that decision. Sometimes you just lose your way with things, and sometimes you have to push through it. Like if you're hitting a deadline that's like an important deadline that somebody else is like giving you and things like that, sometimes you have to push through. But more often than not, if it's just like a personal deadline, or if it's just something that you want to do yourself, then really you can just often just say, you know what, I'm just going to put it to one side. I'm just going to move on with the things that are inspiring me right now, and I'll come back to it. It's what I did with the purple fairy journal. The fairies at the time, I'd had enough of them. No offense, fairies, you're beautiful, but sometimes too much of a good thing. So I put it to one side. I came back to it this month, and it just became this big thing that I would never have made last year. So that's what I'm kind of approaching the cozy winter like, is I've got all the ephemera made, so I've got all that boxed up and, safe. I'm going to finish one of the projects, and then the rest can just come later, and that's fine. That's okay, isn't it? So yeah, that's just something that's been on my mind, so I thought I'd say it. So going forwards, February. February. How? I'm going to be picking up the Altered Book again. I was supposed to film that over Christmas, but as you know, I got very unwell, so it didn't happen. So I'm going to be filming the winter pages. I'm hoping to start those this Friday, actually. So fingers crossed, if all goes well, you'll start seeing the videos for that either this week or early next week. So we're going to get those winter pages done. That'll probably be, the first part of February. And then guess what? We're going to be picking up Secret Garden. So for me, I'm so excited for this project. We've been making a load of ephemera on video already. I've got loads of things that just, I was doing a sort through this week to basically, rearrange to get all my Secret Garden stuff out. And I didn't realise quite how much ephemera I've got. I've got a full tray. I think the biggest thing that I need to work on is I need some more embellishment type pieces. So that will probably be the focus. We're going to do like clusters and different things. So we'll get those done, and then really I'm ready to just start cracking and making the journals, which is I'm really excited by it. So that's going to be the focus for February. It's just Altered Book winter and then Secret Garden. So excited. I said I would talk to you about my travel plans. I know this is a crafting channel, but at the same time, travel is like a massive part of me and my life and what I'm all about. So travel plans for this year, we're trying to make them, Scott and I, together. Dog care is a little bit of an issue sometimes. Our lovely Kai, he's scared of laminate, so we find it difficult finding dog boarders that can accommodate that. But we're working around it with people coming here, thankfully. So we've got various things. We're going to have a spa break that my husband bought me a voucher for Christmas. So we've got a one-night spa break, end of February, early March is what we're gunning for. We've got a press trip coming up where we're off to Devon, and it's this 5-star luxury hotel that are hosting us, and I'm so excited because they have sea views and just it looks really plush and like proper, British afternoon tea and everything. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to be travelling solo for one of my trips. So before I met Scott, I travelled solo. every trip was on my own. And the reason I did that was because my friends at the time, they weren't interested in traveling. They didn't really have enough spare cash for it either, and they just were happy to just, go down the pub kind of thing. That's not me. That's not me at all. I'm pretty much teetotal actually. Not through any reason, but just I don't see the point anymore. Call me boring if you like, but I just don't see the point. I like an orange juice, and if I like orange juice, I'm just gonna drink that. Anyway, so that's what they were interested in, and I wanted to see the world. I wanted to get outside. I wanted to do all these things and just explore and just adventure and all the rest of it. So I just did it by myself. I did that for a couple of years. Then I met Scott, and thankfully he was up for travel, so he started coming with me. And obviously when we got Kai, travel did have to slow down a little bit, but it was okay at the time because Scott and I were getting married, so we were planning the wedding, we were planning our honeymoon, we were buying a house at the same time. So we got Kai early 2018. We actually came back from a trip from New York to pick him up. It was like our last hurrah, And then we were buying our house we actually moved in December of that year. And then we got married the next summer. So that period of my life was so just boom, boom, boom. That travel just naturally, we were still doing trips and things, absolutely, but naturally we slowed down because all this was going on. And then, as you know, COVID hit, so of course a lot of us couldn't travel places and we had to slow down again because of that. But coming into this year, I do feel differently about everything, where I just want to get going again. And obviously where we're having issues with the dog care, Scott and I had sort of a bit of a chat about it, and he actually just floated the idea and said, well, why don't you just go a couple of places yourself? Places that he's not as fussed about, but that I would like to write about for work. So I booked a trip. So in May, I'm off to Switzerland by myself for just a few days. I'm going to be going to Geneva. And then I'm doing a day trip to France as part of that as well. We're going down to Annecy. I'm excited, but a bit nervous because it has been absolute years since I've travelled solo. So that's just something I have had on my mind. So I'm just going to say it. But I'm hoping it will be the start of me being able to do the odd city break on my own. As I say, there'll just be trips that Scott's not really interested in anyway. And then obviously we'll save up the big things and the, real bucket list things, and the things he's interested in we'll do together. But yeah, I'm excited. We want to go to Dubrovnik in Croatia together this year. We were supposed to go there a few years ago, 2020, for my 30th. We did manage to get to Croatia, but we had to change our itinerary because our return flight got cancelled because of COVID. So we ended up not getting to see Dubrovnik during that time. So we're just going to go there and do a city break from here. We can actually fly from Bristol. So we're going to do that. And we also want to get to Madeira together. So Madeira is a small island. It's owned by Portugal, but it's actually closer to Morocco. And it's nicknamed, it's got two nicknames, well-known nicknames. The first is the Island of Eternal Spring, and the other nickname is Hawaii of Europe. Basically, it's just this paradise little island full of waterfalls and lush forests and, volcanic rock and sea views, and it's just stunning. My mum actually owns a timeshare out there, so I've visited Madeira about, 5 or 6 times by now. But Scott's never been, so I want to take him there, and so we want to do that together. And then we're trying to plan for next winter a ski trip Scott will go skiing, I will just happily go walking in the snow and chilling in a cabin and just admiring the views and just having a winter trip that doesn't involve putting on skis. So yeah, we've got a lot of big travel plans this year as well. And so that's been on my mind as to, you know, trying to sort dog care and where are we going to go and how is it going to look like. But I'm excited. I feel like I'm finally getting to back to myself. I was unwell quite a lot of last year. Again, I want to say optimistic and positive, but I did. I caught COVID about 4 times last year. And although I was okay, I did completely, you know, I lost my voice. I was just held up in bed for, you know, a couple of weeks at a time. And that's just not like me at all. And mentally, I was going through a lot because I wasn't traveling properly and I didn't feel like me and I didn't know what I was doing with crafting, and I was just a bit of a mess last year, if I'm honest. But I finally feel like I'm getting back to myself again. And yeah, I wanted to mention that because I know I'm not the only one who's going to be feeling odd from the past few years. So I just want to mention it because, you know, at the end of the day, you're not alone. Like, as much as I try to stay optimistic and positive, and I will always try to find the good, like, oh, I love this quote actually, and I'll try to remember it correctly. It's something like, when it rains, look for rainbows, and when it's dark, look for stars. And it's all about the idea that, yeah, it's raining, but there might be a rainbow. Yeah, it's dark, but there might be stars out. And it's the idea of, you know, seeing the good in something. I mean, I personally love rain when I'm like, you know, watching it from outdoors kind of thing. But I always try to see the optimistic and positive. But I'm also aware of the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes that's really difficult to do. It is. I might be a positive person as far as I'm concerned, but some days I find it so difficult to find the positive. So I just wanted to mention it because I know, you know, a few of us are going to be struggling, and I just feel like if I'm there to say, like, you're not alone and, like, you know, I get it, then I just feel like that might be comforting to some people to actually hear, like, yeah, just completely the honest truth about how I've been feeling. But I do feel like I'm getting myself back to who I am and everything, and that does involve travel, which is why I've just spent the past like 10 minutes talking about it. So sorry about that. What else shall we mention? The giveaway. I finally opened up the 2K subscriber giveaway, so if you haven't seen that, please do check out the video to see how you can get involved. I was putting it off because our postal service at the moment is going through, oh my goodness, oh my goodness me, they've been going through all sorts. So through November and December, they were doing a lot of strikes. A lot of our like public jobs, I guess they're called, they're going through a lot of strikes right now, where the unions are trying to get them a fair wage for the fact that the cost of living here has just, it's gone up crazy amounts in a short space of time. And these public jobs, you know, teachers, police officers, firemen, fire people, rail staff, airlines, all the rest of it, obviously post office workers, postal service, their wages haven't been going up enough to go with the cost of living. And really, I would argue that no one's wages are going up enough unless you work in like software or technology or something like that. So we went through a lot of strikes, which created a bit of a backlog and, you know, all sorts going on there. Sorry, I'm really uncomfortable in my chair, so I'm just trying to get myself to be comfortable. I'm going to be here a while. Joking. I promise I'll stop soon. And then coming into January, they had a cyber attack. I don't know too much about it, but there was a cyber attack on the postal service, which meant that we couldn't send packages internationally through really the whole of January. So obviously I wanted the giveaway to be UK and international. So I was putting it off until I could see at least they were starting to work on it. And we're getting there now. So the international prize might have to be delayed slightly in terms of me posting it. But I finally got to the point where I thought, let's just at least open the giveaway and get going and, you know, move on from there. I think those were really the main things that I want to talk about. I'm sort of thinking back to what I've actually told you, and I'm thinking I've just waffled on a whole load, but I've had a lot on my mind. I've had an awful lot on my mind, and I just felt like I just needed to let it all out. So sorry about that. It was a bit of a ramble, but it is what it is. I should just stop talking now. But I do want to leave you with a quote. So this is my quote for the month. And it's an important one. I'm going to flash it up on screen if I can be like really, you know, fancy with the text. And it's better to do something imperfectly than to do nothing flawlessly. And that's from Robert H. Schuller. So that's a long version of my done is better than perfect. But I think it's important sometimes to say, you know, like, I think about the cozy winter stuff and I just think like, I had big ambitions for that project and I've only managed to get 1 out of the 4 done. You know what? That's all right. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. They'll get done eventually. It's just I'm not feeling it right now. And so, yeah, I just feel like the more people talk about these things, I think the more we'll all understand and we'll all remind ourselves that these things are okay and to not let it get you down and to just, yeah, just go with what inspires you. And if you end up squirreling a little bit, then it doesn't matter. I should probably stop my waffling. I've just waffled on for about half an hour. I'm so sorry. But, you know, I hope you could take something from that, even if it was just to hear me talk. And clearly it was a very honest chat today. That's just me. That's just it. That's what I'm about this month. That's what I've been thinking about. That's what I've been doing. So, yeah, let's bring on February now. And as I say, we'll get going with the winter altered book, hopefully. The pages for it. And then, yeah, Secret Garden, which is really exciting. One thing I do want to say, and I know I'm still going. I'm going to change slightly how I've been doing my videos. If you watched my giveaway video, then you will know I've had a few confidence issues. And I just wanted to talk about that for just a moment, because I think it's important to just, yeah, be honest. So with regards to my confidence, I think there's just been a lot of things affecting it. A lot of it was I just didn't feel like myself last year, which I think did impact my confidence and how I felt doing things. But it was also, so when I think about a journal making process, there's obviously a lot to it. You've got all of the ephemera, you've actually got making the journal, you've got filling it with the ephemera, you've got embellishing. There's a lot to making a journal, as we know. When it comes to the videos, I feel like I love showing you the ephemera making because they're useful ideas that you can just take and change up and just run with. I've also been trying to show you the making of journals because I do think that's important to show as well. And I love watching the start to finish of a journal. So, you know, you've seen them make the ephemera and now they're making the journal in 5-6 videos or something. And it's really inspiring to see how it comes from idea to finished. I love watching those videos, so I thought I would enjoy making them. I've actually found that part 1, part 2, part 3, etc. videos, making a journal, is not for me. I gave it a go and I'm glad that I did. But I just feel like I want to show you the ephemera more than making the journal, unless there's something specific I want to show you. Like, you know, maybe it's decorating the cover, or maybe it's I found a new way to do the binding, or a new way to do the spine or something, or a new closure idea or whatever, then I'll absolutely still show you those things. But I don't want it to be this, that I'm showing you videos for just absolutely everything, because I don't think those videos are not the most popular anyway. But it's also how I feel about myself doing them. I just feel like I just don't feel like me. It's so, and it's such a strange thing, and I can't put my finger on it at all. But it's just, I feel like it's just, I'm just not me during those videos. So I'm actually going to try it differently for a bit and just focus on the ephemera, and then if there's something specific I need to show you about making the journal, then absolutely I would do that. But I don't think I'm going to be doing videos part 1, part 2, part 3, etc. Anymore, at least for just a bit. And then I just want to sort of just, it's really just a time for me to just have a look at myself and assess like how I'm feeling about it. And I feel like if I'm doing what I think you want to watch, then I feel like my confidence will grow from that as well. So that's just something that I wanted to mention, because that has also been on my mind. So yeah, that's it. Zip. I'm throwing away the key. So yeah, I'm so sorry about all that waffle, but it's just, I've had so much on my mind, and I just felt like I just needed to just get it all off my chest and just tell you exactly what I've been thinking, and go from there. So sorry about that, but hopefully you got some enjoyment from this video. If not, don't worry, I won't do it again. I'm sure February's will be different. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it there. I have waffled on long enough. I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, please do tell me, how are you doing? I hope you're all well, and just thank you for your support. You know, reading through your comments for the giveaway and stuff, like when I inadvertently mentioned about the confidence thing, and like reading your comments, it was so wonderful to read and so helpful. So, you know, genuinely thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to this year just getting back to being me, and I'm sure that will reflect on the videos as well. That's it. I'm officially done. Okay, I will speak to you soon. Love you all, and speak soon.